and then I'm going to mute all the lines, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the NTI Meeting Leader Call, April the 2nd, 2019. It is a beautiful Tuesday, or getting to be a beautiful Tuesday here in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. A little conference call etiquette. I try to do this reminder each and every single time we have a call. If you would please mute your phone line. Now, some people have texted me and said, Rich, I don't know how to mute my phone. And I find that fascinating that today in the world of smartphones, on my phone, there is a button. There are 6 buttons actually. Well, 7 if you include the end call button. And one of the 7 says mute. So I find it hard to believe that people don't know how to mute their phone lines, but that's okay. You know, things happen. If you don't know if you are unmuted or not, I always ask that you please don't eat, don't use the bathroom, don't yell at the children, don't answer the door, answer another call, or talk bad about the call host. All those things are things that should be avoided and are good conference call etiquette. Welcome to all the new meeting leaders. We have new meeting leaders joining us each and every week, it seems, and I'm so glad that you're on board. If you have any questions, any concerns after today's call, or maybe you missed part of it, something like that, I want to remind everyone that this call, either the audio only or the entire audio and visual of the PowerPoint that I walk through, is hosted on the Meeting Leader Resources page for your viewing pleasure and listening pleasure. Should you miss part of today's call or have to bail off the call early due to an appointment or a lunch appointment or for whatever reason, if you get disconnected for any reason. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I am very happy to say that as I look at the screen, I'm reminded of all the different welcomes in different languages. And I'm reminded that we are getting ready to kick off in Canada. We are getting ready to kick off in Australia. And I'm just thrilled about the expansion and what we're about to do here at Networking Today. And I welcome absolutely everyone to the call. Now, once we start expanding into nations and nationalities that don't speak English fluently, I'm going to have some sort of interpreter. Not sure how that will work, but I know there are people that have gone through this before, even on today's call, that can give me advice and tips, and I'll look forward to that as we approach that. But let's get right into servant leadership. And I want to talk about this because as I talk to each and every new meeting leader that comes on board, I put a heavy emphasis on servant leadership. And today's call is a little bit directed towards this idea of servant leadership. And I wanted to share a little bit with you guys, and just a quick reminder that according to the Center for Servant Leadership is defined as a philosophy and a, quote, set of practices that enriches the lives of individuals, builds better organizations, specifically better Networking Today meetings, and ultimately creates a more just and caring networking world. And each and every call, I try to highlight something that is a set of practice that would fit into the set of practices anyways, that you could really live out not only in your Networking Today meeting, but also in your day-to-day life that would help reinforce the idea of servant leadership. On our last call, we talked about being positive. We talked about, do your members perceive you as confident in opinion or assertion, being fully assured of what it is that you're doing. And today I want to talk to you about delegation. I think you'll see throughout today's call of this theme of delegation. One of the number one issues, you might say, that I hear about from meeting leaders is this ability to delegate. The ultimate test of skillful delegation is how far a leader enlarges their team's involvement in critical decision making. whether it's about people, strategy, or money. Now, this was reported by Fast Company magazine. And I actually want to digress from this for just a moment. And I'm gonna, if you're online, you're gonna see that I'm switching my my screen here, because what I want to talk to you about, and hopefully you can still see this okay with no problems. But what I want to talk to you about is this article from Fast Company: 8 Habits of Leaders Who Know How to Delegate. Now, I'm not going to go through each and every one, but you may want to take notes. If you're sitting down or you're in a place where you can take notes, great. If not, you may want to come back to this later on. I found this article really impressive, and I think it applies to each and every one of us that run a meeting. So, number one, they measure results fairly and regularly. Managers who delegate effectively, it says, devise the right performance metrics and hold everyone accountable to them. Think about this. Every point that I'm going to go through on these 8, I want to just digress for a moment on each one and talk about it as it relates to your meeting. When you assign or delegate someone to a task, you have to hold them accountable to it. You have to measure whether or not they're being successful. And networking today gives you the platform where you can do that in almost every case. Now, it's not every case, but let's take your visitor hosts for a moment. How can you know if your visitor hosts are doing their job or not, doing what we ask them to do or not? Well, first of all, do they have the visitor host cards? You know, you can look at their visitor host station if you have one. Everyone should have one, should have a visitor host station set up, and you can see, do they have the visitor host cards? Are your Be Our Guest cards out on the tables for people to take before the meeting even starts? Are your visitor hosts on time? Are they there at 8:30 if you have a 9 o'clock start time? That's what I ask of mine. I ask them to be there by 8:30. Now, sometimes they're a little bit late or whatever, and sometimes they're a little bit early, and that's fine. But you need to measure this. And then furthermore, are they entering your visitors into the NTI visitor follow-up system? You say, Rich, how can I know that? Well, each and every one of you have been trained on Fanzuma. Now, if you have not been trained on Fanzuma, you can go to the Meeting Leader Resources page. There is a tutorial on Fanzuma that is full, in-depth, and complete training on Fanzuma. But you can go to your Fanzuma page. You can go to the second club, listed there. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, just message me and we'll talk about it on the side, or we'll get meeting leader support to help you. Okay. But here's what you need to do. You need to go into that visitor club, and it says welcome to, and then the name of your meeting location. And you need to go in there and see if that name is added inside of that club. At the bottom, there's a fan list, and you can see if those members are being added to your NTI visitor follow-up system. Furthermore, your visitor host can hand you the business cards, you see? So all of this is measurable. You say, Rich, what about my business spotlight coordinator? Well, Janet Palumbi in my meeting, make it a Palumbi if you're buying or selling a home, she does a fabulous job. She keeps a paper, the little spiral bound paper list, and I could literally walk over to her any meeting that she's there and ask her to show me the list, and she can show it to me, and I can keep accountable what she's doing each every week. But not only that, I don't even have to walk up to her. If you are using your Google Calendar, then you can go to your Google Calendar, which each and every one of the individual meeting locations has their own Google Calendar. Your business spotlight coordinator should be using the Google Calendar to post who the next week's speaker is for weeks out, however long out that you're booked. So number one, they need to measure results fairly and regularly, and you as the meeting leader don't have to do each task. You just need to measure every once in a while, spot check, and make sure that's done. Number two, they build a culture of open and honest debate. Now, within my leadership style, the way that I lead, those of you that are close to me know that I do it this way. I lead through collaboration. Now, ultimately, someone has to make a decision of what is right and wrong. Inside of your meeting, that is you. You are the person that is in charge of deciding what your meeting is going to do. So let's say that you want to have a happy hour and you want to talk about that happy hour. Okay, well, what you do is you throw out to your core group, hey, I'd like to do a happy hour, or hey, I want to do a visitor day. But you get all the ideas, and then someone has to make a decision, and that ultimately is you. But you need to have open discourse about what's going on with the meeting. Is the meeting going in the right direction or the wrong direction? How do we improve it? How do we make it better? You know, et cetera, et cetera. So just make sure that you are open and honest to people giving you that feedback. It's really, really important. The third thing is they invest in experimentation, innovation, and improvement. And this is a neat thing to me. We've done different things, like, for example, one of the things I'm going to remind you about a little bit later on is the NTI Cash Mob Mondays that we have launched here in Knoxville. Now, is this going to be good for networking today? Is this going to be good for our community? Or is it going to be an utter fail? We don't know yet. But we're always innovating. We launched the NTI Cares. We've launched NTI Connect, where we're trying to continually make improvements there. We've launched a lot of different things that we've done here at Networking Today. We're always looking to experiment, innovate, and improve. What can we do to always improve on what we're doing? So make improvements. Fourth, they make the right resources available. Are you, as the leader, making the resources available for your members that make up your meeting? Are you making those resources available? Are you informing them of contests? Some meeting leaders say to me, Rich, I didn't even know that there was a contest going on. So there are some meeting leaders that did not even know that we just had the Visitor Day contest from January into February. We gave away over $2,000. Well, if the meeting leader doesn't know that it's going on, how, pray tell, can the members know that it's going on? So you always need to make sure that you're informing and making the resources available to network properly and guiding people. Fifth, they define the what and delegate the how. They define the what and delegate the how. I don't mind admitting to you that this is an area that I still really struggle. Many people on today's call who know me and know me well know that I want the way things done the way that I want them done. And if they're not done the way that I want them done, then I step back in and I do it myself if it's not being done the way that I want it done. And so people like me have trouble delegating because we don't clearly define the what and we don't clearly define how we expect that to be done. And we have to be able to define that, or we'll never be able to delegate any particular task within the meeting, whether it's a visitor host position or what part of your meeting it is. Now, Amy Chandler, and I don't know if she's on today's call or not, but Amy Chandler with the downtown meeting is one of the most successful who has delegated the Fanzuma weekly text and emails. And I want to talk about that because she turned it over to a gentleman by the name of Zan Shriver, who is a regular faithful member, and he works for VMC, so it's a nonprofit charitable organization. Zan does a wonderful job sending out the weekly messages. He keeps them fresh. He keeps it up to date. It's never boring. It's never the same old text and email that goes out each and every week. And it is always fresh and it is always alive. And Amy has done a masterful job of delegating that task to Zan. And Zan and others have learned how to improve it and continue to expound upon it. But she did this perfectly. She defined what she wants him to do, and then she defined how she wants him to do it, and then she lets him run with it. Number 6, they recognize achievements. Again, I remind you, Fast Company reported basically the 8 steps to being a good delegator. So recognizing achievements. Do you, as the meeting leader of your meeting, recognize achievement within your own meeting? I hope you do. Okay, Networking Today is the organization that has given you, the meeting leader, autonomy. You run your meeting the way that it's your meeting. If any of you've noticed, I don't come in and say, hey, this is the way I would do it, or this is the way I do it. You need to run your meeting your way. Now, that doesn't mean that if something's not going well, I don't have suggestions or I don't have thoughts that might improve it, right? That just means that you are given autonomy to run your meeting your way. Well, your staff or your meeting leaders within your meeting, they need recognition. At the very least, make sure you have a slide up thanking them and recognizing them for their leadership responsibilities that they have stepped up for within your meeting. Say thank you for, Dean and Janet Palumbi, who are a part of my meeting. Thank you to Parker Fair and Ashley Gale, who are our visitor host team. Let's give them a round of applause. And everybody clap for them. Let me tell you something. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel appreciated. And so I wanted to just really highlight this. Little things that you can do like this make people feel very special within your meeting. Number 7, they show real curiosity in their team's work. Managers who delegate properly still show up wherever they're genuinely interested in finding out how things are coming along. So don't delegate and then disappear. Stay involved. Ask, at least once a month, even if you have to set a reminder on your calendar, and repeat monthly, at least stay involved. Say, how's that going? Hey, Janet, how's that going? Hey, Dean, how's it going? Giving the inspirational thought. Would you mind changing it up? Would you mind doing this? Would you mind doing that? Really stay engaged with your leadership team, and it'll show them that you really care. And then number 8, they invite participation. They invite participation. The ultimate test, and I read this a moment ago, this is how it's defined by Fast Company. The ultimate test of a skillful delegation is how far a leader enlarges their team's involvement in critical decision making, whether it's about people, strategy, or money. So one of the things that I love about Networking Today here locally in Knoxville is all of the meeting leaders, once every other month, we get together and have lunch. I buy pizzas or a taco bar or something like that, and it's catered, and we have food brought in, and we all get together and we talk about things like the podcast, or we talk about things like NTI Cares, or we talk about contests that we want to do, or we decide that together and we talk about it openly. Now, I bring ideas, of course, but then, I get feedback. I invite their participation. Now, that sometimes means that, your feathers are going to get ruffled. That sometimes means that their feathers are going to get ruffled. And that is quite okay. There's nothing wrong with someone's feathers getting ruffled, okay? But what I want to say to you is when you invite participation, very frequently people are more than welcome to share their opinions. Everyone has an opinion. Now, can you make it an open environment that gives them the platform to share that opinion is ultimately the question. But this is what I hope that you're doing with delegation. Now you say, Rich, why have you spent all this time on delegation in the servant leader practices? Well, because that is what a servant leader does. A servant leader doesn't just show up and serve, like say, hey, you notice somebody needs a hug, or you notice somebody needs a smile, or you notice somebody needs encouragement, or you notice somebody needs a glass of water, so you help them out. You notice somebody needs a pen. That's all a part of servant leadership, and all the things that we've all talked about over the last year and a half. We've all talked about different sets of practices that you can put in, but so is delegation. The skill of involving others in the meeting. It's a skill. But think about this as it relates to your business. Think about this as it relates to your family. Are you involving your family in your business, in your life, and things like that? Are you involving your employees, your associates, with what you're trying to do? These are all fantastic, in my opinion, principles and practices that we can begin to put into our lives that will make our meetings better meetings. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about avoiding burnout, okay? Some meeting leaders come to me and they say, hey, Rich, I'm getting burnt out. Look, we're not like BNI. There's nothing wrong with BNI, but one of our distinctions here at Networking Today is that we don't change the guard. In other words, we don't change leadership, all right? In BNI, as many of you may or may not know, each and every year, the members that make up a particular BNI chapter, the leadership, passes the torch on to the next group of leaders, president, vice president, treasurer, etc. Okay? We don't do that here at Networking Today. And why, you say, don't we do that? Well, it's not because we're trying to burn a meeting leader out by any slim imagination, but we don't do that because I believe that a meeting takes on your personality as the meeting leader. So if, we heard from Anna Alt a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things Anna Alt said was that her meeting takes on her personality, fun, witty, high energy. That's kind of Anna Alt. And she talked about how her meeting, fits her. And she also talked about how she runs her meeting a little bit like how she's mom at home, and she talked about that. Well, you need to run your meeting according to your personality. If you have a change in leadership, what can happen is it can destroy the vibe of any particular meeting. But does that mean that you can never change the leadership at Networking Today? No, it doesn't. You can change the leadership anytime you want. So if you're needing a break, if you're needing some relief and you're needing to just say, hey, I need to step away from leadership because you just feel overwhelmed that it's taking too much time, that's not a problem. All you have to do is reach out to the meeting leader support team and say, hey, John Doe is going to take over running my meeting, for the next year or, however long and until further notice, whatever. And meeting leader support will make those changes. We will need to get all the official documentation in on that new meeting leader, like the meeting leader agreement. They still have to sign that, and potentially a W-9 and some information off to our accounting department for contest money and things of that nature. But all of that is very possible. But let me talk to you about avoiding burnout just a little bit here. I want to show you this screen because if you're watching online, what you're seeing is a road that looks like it's from the middle of, Indiana, right? Sort of. It's a straight road, flat country, absolutely nothing around it. Cornfield, it looks like maybe on one side and, plowed up land on the other side, okay? And those of you that are in agriculture say, Rich, that's not corn. Okay, whatever it is on the other side, okay? I don't care. But at the end of the road, way down in the distance, I put a giant black question mark, because the thing I find about burnout is burnout happens in relationships. Burnout happens in life, right? Burnout happens in your business, right? In your day-to-day business, especially if you're building something from scratch. Have you ever been in your business and hit burnout where you've just been pushing, and you hit burnout? Well, what I think will help you avoid burnout, not just in your Networking Today meeting, but in life, is this. Burnout comes from a loss of remembering your where, your what, and your why. Your purpose. So what I want to talk to you about is, why did you start your Networking Today meeting to begin with? Why would you start any meeting? Why would you start a BNI chapter? Why would you start, anything? Why would you start a business? And what happens lots of times with business owners is we come out here and we find out once we get into business that it's a little harder than we thought it would be. Whether you're an Essential Bodywear, Mary Kay, Primerica, ACN is another great company. People get excited initially. Brian Williams is on today's call. He started his own insurance agency, and you can sometimes get in the thick of it and go, my goodness, what did I get myself into? What you have to do is you must keep your eye focused on that long-term purpose of what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you're headed. I'm going to be suggesting this book. I'm not done with it yet, so I don't know if I want to suggest it yet or not. But one of the things I'm learning from this one particular book that I'm studying right now, it's talking about mountain climbers. And mountain climbers, when they're climbing the side of a mountain, or rock climbers or whatever, when they're climbing the side of a mountain, they see where they're going. They see the mountain peak. They see the climax, and they climb toward it. And they use muscle, and they use energy, and they're driven to the peak of that mountain. And lots of times, it is being said, I've never climbed a mountain besides like locally here in Knoxville, so I'm not saying that I'm a mountain climber. But it was said in the middle of this book that mountain climbers, when they reach the peak, very frequently have mixed emotions because they achieved what it was that they were climbing for. Listen now, until they reset the new goal of getting down or conquering the next peak. But they have a moment of emotional distress because they fulfilled their goal and now they feel lost, not knowing where to go next. What can happen in your Networking Today meeting, or any meeting you start, what can happen in your business is you reach a point of climax, you reach a point of peak and climbing the mountain, or maybe not. You've hit some plateau and you don't have a proper vision of where to go to the next level. And that can stall you out. Make sure that you're keeping your vision fresh. Make sure that you're keeping your goal fresh. If you're at 50 members now, what would you have to do to get to 100 members? If you're at 100 members now, what would you have to do to get to 200 members? Or are you content and satisfied and happy where you're at and comfortable where you're at? Now, comfort and all that, look, the Bible says that we're to be content in all things, but contentment is something that our human spirit seems to struggle with. And what I'm saying to you is, one of the ways to avoid burnout and one of the ways to avoid contentment is to keep that vision for your meeting fresh. It may not mean that you are talking about growing your meeting. It might mean what you're doing for your community. One of the reasons why I launched the Cash Mob Mondays here locally in Knoxville is because I don't care if my meeting grows anymore or not. If it does, great. If it doesn't, that's fine as well. But I want to constantly look for ways that I can improve my community, improve the business community, get more exposure, reach more people know Rich DeForest, more people know Networking Today, more people do more good, more. What more can we do for charities? What more can we do? What better can we do for charities? Who can we help? What business can we help? Who can we turn our attention to? When your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, when your eyes are not focused on self, but focused on someone else, it's a life-changing experience. You're not just climbing that mountain for you. You're climbing that mountain for others. And that is one of the best ways to avoid burnout in your meeting. All right, moving right along. I want to talk real quick about attrition, and then I'm going to pass the mic off to Penny Burr, who's going to bring a fantastic presentation to us today. I'll get into that in just a second. Attrition, the natural decrease in the size of the meeting leaders or members of an organization achieved by not replacing meeting leaders or members who retire or resign or whatever reason. I wanted to talk to you guys, especially those of you with large meetings, small meetings, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going to have natural attrition. Some people in some areas where we expanded very rapidly with a lot of meetings in a certain area or another area or wherever in the country, even here in Knoxville, said, Rich, it looks like you've lost a couple of meetings in the Knoxville area. You know what? Who cares? You're going to have people start meetings. You're going to have people end meetings. You're going to have people have babies. People have job changes. People relocate. People die. People get sick. People, get busy. They have businesses to run. Give people freedom. Give people the liberty to have freedom to know that natural attrition is fine. But do you know when we get the greatest level of concern for attrition? When we're stopped growing. When you're no longer having visitors, when you're no longer launching new meetings. Hey, let me tell you something. We have more meetings we are about to launch at Networking Today than ever before in the history of Networking Today. My goal by the end of the year is 1,000 Networking Today meetings. Now, from 60 meetings to 1,000, that's a big deal. Do you think that I worry about one meeting leader or two meeting leaders calling me and saying, hey, Rich, I'm going to step away? Okay, great. We're going to miss you. Bye-bye. Adios. You think I worry whether someone comes up to me at my meeting and says, hey, Rich, I'm no longer going to be able to attend Networking Today? Okay, bye-bye. Going to miss you. On with the next. When you have customers in your business or you have your meeting going, please do not get discouraged by natural attrition. It is natural. It is natural, just like getting gray hair, okay? Just like getting wrinkles, on your face, unless you're, my good friend Jim Johnson would say, well, use Nerium and you don't get any wrinkles. Or you're drinking from the same fountain of youth that Sharon Kaywood is drinking from, then you don't have to worry about gray hair, wrinkles, or any of what I'm saying right now. But the rest of us do, okay? I like to make fun the fact that I'm short. And I like to say, before I started as an entrepreneur, I was 7 feet tall, and it's beaten me down so much. Now I'm 5'5". I like to joke about that. But here's the thing. Please don't let that discourage you. If you have natural attrition in your meeting, focus on growing. Focus on what's next. Focus on who to tackle next. Focus on what you can do next. What's the next thing that you're going to do? We only get discouraged when we stop growing and stop developing. Don't worry about natural attrition. Don't let it discourage you. Don't let it burn you out. Don't let it have an effect on you. All right? Now, don't forget meeting leader support. Now, some of you are still reaching out to me, and I am only forwarding your messages on to meeting leader support. I'm not doing it. So meeting leader support is doing it. God bless meeting leader support. They are there for you, and they are there for me. They're there for us, okay? Please, if you need something related to your meeting, related to a member, yes, I said it, related to a member, feel free to reach out to meeting leader support. That's what they're there for. Please begin to use meeting leader support. Call the hotline, email. If you are having trouble, a meeting leader said to me the other day, hey, Rich, I've tried to call meeting leader support a couple times, I've not gotten any feedback. I've not gotten, any help back. What do I do? How, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get involved and I'm going to help you. Okay, but please make sure you're using meeting leader support. Do not forget, please, that if you go on to meeting leader resources, you can click meeting leader support. You can type in, I need literature. I need a meeting location change. But tell meeting leader support when the change is effective. I need to change my meeting location. Tell us the address. I'm changing the meeting leader. Tell us who the new meeting leader is. Give us some information. Help us out. Help us help you. Remember Jeremy Maguire, right? Was it Jerry Maguire or Jeremy? I can't remember. What? Jerry Maguire. That's okay. All right. Jerry Maguire. Remember him? Right? He said, help me help you, right? Help me help you. So thank you, Brian Williams, by the way, for posting that in the GoToMeeting chat window there for all of us to be able to have that Fast Company link. I appreciate you doing that while I talked about it. All right. Don't forget about the new resources that are on the meeting leader support page, like the cash mob. I want to strongly encourage you guys that have multiple meetings, or even those of you that have just one meeting in your area, start doing a monthly cash mob Mondays. It's great. The community loves it. The business owners love it. It's super duper, and we're having a fun time. We were just at Mario's Pizza and Grill locally. There's a blank one on the Meeting Leader Resources page for all of us to be able to get access to, okay? Now, one more thing. When I sent out a blast to all members in Networking Today using Fanzuma, text and email, inviting people with a link to click on that link to go to register for the March 2020 NTI members cruise on Carnival Cruise Lines, there's only been 2 people that have registered for early registration, me and the guy doing it for us, okay, Bert Burgett. Now, I need some help here, because it might be just me and Bert on the cruise, but you know, here's the thing. When we sent out early interest indication, there was almost 50 people that said they were interested in going on the cruise. That's why we've gone to the labor and enjoyment of making this happen, okay? I need you to help me push this. I need you to help me get this out there. We need people to register ASAP, literally ASAP, so that we can get this booked and we can get as many freebies from the cruise lines as we can. So there's an image for this on the Meeting Leader Resources page. I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we put it out there. So you can promote it. If you have any questions, any concerns, I need you to reach out to me, because I need to push for this. Anyone that would be interested, I need you to be excited about it so that we get everyone on this cruise next March. The more people that we have, the more fun it will be, okay? So please, please, please help me push this. I don't gain anything. Those of you thinking that I'm pushing so hard because I get something, I don't. I'm paying just like you are. I bought my junior suite just like others are going to have to do. I have to pay cash just like others have to do, okay? So I'm in the same boat as you guys. But it would be so much fun to cruise together and to be together all week and swim and, you know, get massages and facials and, you know, have some drinks together and some dinners and breakfast and talk and have a giant Networking Today meeting all on board Carnival Cruise Lines as we sail through the Caribbean. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that you will help me push this and bring awareness and attention to it. All right. All right. With no further ado, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Penny. And the reason why is because Penny is a newer meeting leader with Networking Today. Penny resides in Bloomington, Indiana, where she has lived for the last 16 years. All right. She's a team leader with a company that I have come to really appreciate called Essential Bodywear. Penny is known as the Bra Lady. Now, some of you are going to remember when Lindsay came to Knoxville and said she was the Bra Lady. Now, in my meeting, which is sarcastic and fun and laughing, we made a big to-do about it. It was hilarious. We had so much fun talking about it. But that is the company that Penny is associated with. Penny is introducing Networking Today to all her sisters, if I can call it that, within the Essential Bodywear business. Now, to my knowledge, there is not an Essential Bodywear representative in the Knoxville area. So some of you ladies on the call today, or some of you in the Knoxville area may know somebody that wants to plug into this company. I'd highly, highly suggest it. But not only that, Penny runs a fabulous meeting, she was the second fastest growing meeting in the most recent contest that we just had. She is amazing. Her and her husband have been married, listen to this, 28 years, have 3 grown children, 2 granddaughters, and not only all that, she did so much business recently in 2018 that she won the top incentive of a trip that her and her husband took for a free vacation to Costa Rica. And with no further ado, I want to unmute Penny. Penny, welcome to the Meeting Leader Call. Are you still here, my dear? Penny Burr. Penny. All right, let me try this. Penny, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Penny Bird, I can hear you now. How
Hello.
are you?
Good. I didn't want to do it on the computer because I didn't want feedback. Yes, I can hear you.
Good, good, good. Glad that you're there. Thank you. I am so excited, Penny, to have you on today's call. Thank you for being such an amazing leader with Networking Today, and thank you for being willing to take up to 10 minutes to share what's going on with your meeting here at Networking Today. With no further ado, go ahead and lay it on us.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. I am so proud to be a part of this organization, and I found NTI through Facebook, through a mutual friend that was posting about it in Indianapolis last January or February, and they were having an entrepreneur day, and that's what sparked my interest to go visit. It's over an hour drive for me to go up there. So I went and checked out a couple chapters. I felt like it was home for me. I was with like-minded people, and I made a commitment to drive up 2 days a week to Indianapolis to go to 2 different chapters to share my business. And then I caught the bug to start a meeting in Bloomington, and we kicked off last June. So we've been around about 9 months, and we currently, as of today, have 38 members. So I'm very proud of my group.
Congratulations, Penny.
It's been a great growth, and my goal is to hit 50 by our first anniversary. So we're actively working on that. And yeah, we were a little disappointed we didn't win the visitor contest because we thought we were rocking it.
And you were, actually. Please don't be discouraged because you rocked it. You really did.
I know. But I think the biggest key is social media. So if you are not doing any social media posts, or a lot of your group isn't doing that, I would highly encourage that. Obviously, like the Facebook page, and then I have the rolling calendar going of the meeting reminders all the time on the Facebook page. And that's how, as Rich was talking about Lindsay Brubaker that came to Knoxville, she's a Broad Lady friend of mine, and she's the one that said to me, "What's this NTI thing? I see you posting all the time." And then that's what generated her to go to Knoxville to check out your meeting. And then I went over in February and helped her kick off her meeting. So I'm pretty excited for her. She's growing. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to talk about. I think Penny, over the last year, go ahead.
Penny, if you don't mind, I was just going to chime in and ask, I think a lot of people on today's calls, many have been here a while. What are some of the things, and you may have an agenda you want to talk about, but I know I personally would love to hear, what are some of the things you did to really crank it up for the contest? Because you really rocketed this last contest. What did you do to make that happen?
We just really encouraged everybody to invite 3 guests every week, at least 3 to 5. And I said, we want our name back up on that slide because we had 2 people in our group, or 3 people in our group, win the October contest. Our visitor host won, and then 2 people in the group won different prizes. So they were kind of motivated anyway in sharing that, hey, one of us could win again, or the whole group could win. And I said, if we win, we're going to have a rockin' social, and we'll pay for it all. So that was the motivation, and they really came home with bringing guests every week. We had a special Visitors Day that we really advertised. We had 15 guests and 15 members that day. So that was an amazing day. Yes.
Well, then don't forget, Penny, I'm going to be making a trip up there coming up, if not this month. I think Todd Olson and I are going to be coming up there to make a trip up through a lot of the meetings. And I just want to encourage you to help rally everybody, because when I come up there, I want to have a big party. And so we'll have fun when I come up there. But all right, so on with what you've done to grow your meeting.
Okay. I mean, I think when we do get guests in, they continually say, wow, you guys are a great group of people, because I've had 8 different people invite me to this group over the last 6 months. And so I think kudos to the group, because, you all as a group continue to invite people. And I think in sharing that, it helps them want to be included or welcomes them in. I also am a member of the chamber. So anytime I'm out at any chamber, we have a very active chamber where we have a business after hours every month. And sometimes there's a cutoff of like 300 people, and they have a wait list for people to come. So I'm always sharing about NTI, and all my members, a lot of my members are in the chamber. We take a stack of cards every time we go and hand those out and invite more people to come and visit us. And I am also a chamber ambassador, and so we go out to support other businesses for their ribbon cuttings or remodels. And then I also invite those businesses as well to come check out NTI.
Well, that's fantastic. Go ahead.
You were also talking about delegating, and that is one thing I'm very proud of too with my group, is I have a very strong leadership team. I have six ladies on my leadership team that handle everything. I just show up every week. I, send whatever updated slides I need, or my, technology person updates for the current spotlight speaker. And so I just show up and run the meeting, and everybody else does their part. I don't really have to worry about any of that. And that's what really helps us all do little parts and not be too overwhelmed and getting burned out.
So Penny, let me chime in right there, because I hear from some meeting leaders, not all, but some say to me, Rich, I am spending so much time leading my meeting. I have a couple of questions. I don't think I'll have to write this down, but question number one is, how much time outside of the actual meeting, when you go to actually network, how much time are you actually spending outside of the actual meeting on your networking today, number one? And number two, how have you gotten people to help? Do you ask them? Do they volunteer? Can you give us some insights as to what you've done to get people to help?
I would say I spend less than an hour a week on NTI stuff. I mean, other than the call here, which is about an hour, but I don't spend that much time. I just show up and run the meeting, and then I'm constantly networking about it. But time-wise, no, because I have 2 visitor hosts. I have a technology person. I have somebody who is working on our charities every quarter, organizing that and the charitable events. I have somebody who organizes the social, and I have my spotlight speaker coordinator. So I don't spend that much time. I hand that off to them, and they are doing their job well. I delegate very well. And
tell us how you got them to either volunteer or how you picked them, because many people say to me, Rich, I can't get people to do anything. How did you do that?
Right. Initially, we had an interest meeting with some core people before we started the group, and at the interest meeting, I said, I need help with the running the meeting, and if you'd like to volunteer. I had 3 people immediately say, I'll be on your leadership team. And then throughout every meeting, we have the slide that lists everybody, and I say, I cannot do this every week on my own. This is my leadership team. Raise your hands. Here's so-and-so. Here's so-and-so. And without them, I would not be standing up here and being able to do what I do. So if you'd like to get involved, we'd love to have you on our team. Right now we have this opportunity, whatever we're working on right now. But I mean, really, I'm pretty solid.
Some people, Penny, say, I can't get any volunteers. I can't get anybody to do anything unless I'm offering them something. Did you have to offer these people something, or are these just people that say, you know what? Number one, they like being recognized in the meeting, probably. That's probably a really good thing. Number two, do you feel like they feel like they're getting the short end of the stick?
No, absolutely not. They love participating. I don't offer them anything. Yes, they get recognition, but they love this group. We feel like a family. I was gone, in Costa Rica, and then the following week I had to be out of town for a big expo, and I missed my group. I could not wait to go back and see everybody, and I think they all feel like that, and some of them apologize if they're going to miss a meeting, and I'm like, don't worry about it. That's what this is about. You don't have to tell me if you're going to miss. We feel very connected as a group. I guess
do you mind?
I guess I'm really lucky.
No, go ahead.
I said, I guess I'm really lucky. I'm fortunate that I have some amazing people on my team, and they just step forward and they do their job every week.
Do you mind me asking, how do you think you cultivated that environment of, the family feel, right? Where people feel like, hey, Penny, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be here today. And how you felt as the meeting leader, man, I couldn't wait till I got back. How can you think of any tips that you could share with meeting leaders on today's call about the way that you lead in that fashion? Is there anything specific you do, say, communicate, anything you can think of? And I know this is kind of all conversation off the top of your head here, but I think this would help many people if you did have anything to say.
I think just being honest, as I got started, I had never done anything like this before, and just being open and honest each and every week. And, when I did go back, I'm like, I really missed you guys. I really wanted to be here, but, obviously I was in Costa Rica for free. Sorry. It's just a positive group. And I think if you keep up the energy and the positivity, it comes back. That's you attract like-minded people, and that's, we just feed off each other really well and support each other really well.
Well, Penny, we're almost out of time. I thank you for being willing to come on and, share this meeting leader moment with us. In closing, is there a final thought or anything like you would share with your peers who are also leading meetings? Some may be struggling, some may be at the mountaintop. What would be a final thought, if anything?
I would just encourage everybody to bring a guest every week, or, several guests every week, or start your own. If you want to do your own contest, you could. What is your goal for the month, each month? I talk about my goal. Like for that visitor contest, I wanted us to be at 35 members, and we worked really hard to hit that goal. And I talked about it every single week. Okay, my goal for this group is, and they really wanted to reach the bar. So what bar are you setting for your group? That would probably be what I would say.
Penny, listen, thank you so very much for sharing what you're doing in your meeting. I think many meeting leaders may even want to reach out to you and chat with you on the side. And that's happening more and more and more. So thank you for being willing to share today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And anybody that wants to reach out, I'll be glad to. I think that's how we support each other.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute the lines and just get ready to wrap up today's call. I love, listen, every 2 weeks, I look forward to hearing how others are growing in their meetings and connecting with their members. I think all the way back to what Mark Williams said about when he realized that he remembered the day after almost 18 months, almost 2 years of being a meeting leader, when he realized that his meeting wasn't just for him. His leadership of his meeting and his willingness to lead his meeting was for the community. And when that dawned on him, a light bulb went off, and he realized that the meeting was bigger than him. And maybe you've heard that a little bit from Penny today. You've heard from Anna, you've heard from others. You've heard in the past from Missy Martin, the way that she spends less than 20 minutes every week on running her Networking Today meeting outside of the actual meeting. And I hope you can see how that ties into the theme of delegation today as a servant leader. As a servant leader, as a good leader, it is incumbent upon you. It is a necessary thing for you to be able to delegate and include others in your meeting. And so I just would highly encourage everybody to use that link that Brian posted in the chat window there, in the GoToMeeting window. And I can even, share it out there with you guys, or if you want it, let me know. But these are 8 very good tips for how to really lead your meeting. And I want to encourage you to do that. Penny has grown tremendously. You heard Penny say that she spends less than an hour, and she even said that on this call. Look, this call is only twice a month. It's 2 hours in an entire month. We're not asking a lot of our meeting leaders, and it's not even mandatory. You can listen to this call anytime you want to, so even then there's so much flexibility here to be a meeting leader with Networking Today. And I want all of us to learn from each other, not just from me, not just from one particular group or another, but all of us to learn from each other. Reach out to Penny, reach out to Anna Alt, reach out to these meeting leaders that are doing such a great job. Get to know them. Say, hey, I'm a meeting leader over in St. Louis. I'm a meeting leader over in Springfield. And I heard what you said on the call, and I wanted to talk to you about how you do that. And we're a giving, helpful group. And I hope that I can just encourage all of us to participate with each other and to get involved and to get on that Facebook group page and make some comments there as well if you so feel led. Now, those of you that are online, okay, and seeing the title of the book that I just put up, I like to recommend book after book after book after book. They say that the wealthiest people in the world read 60 books per year. That's a lot of books. That's a lot of knowledge. And if they say knowledge is power, then you got to read a lot of books. And on the podcast, we get some of the best tips. Now, just so you guys know, we've tweaked the podcast. We've improved the podcast. We are trying to shorten it and make it so that you get the meat out of the podcast right out of the gate. And then if you want to stick around for the conversation later, you can. But one person in particular recommended this book. And listen, we're all adults on the call. I'm sorry for the title. Those of you that are just listening and not looking online, it's Un-F Yourself. That's the name of the book. I'm sorry. I didn't write the book. But we had someone recommend this book called Un-F Yourself. And yes, it's the 4-letter word, F. I'm sorry. I didn't write it. But it's Get Out of Your Own Head and Into Your Own Life by Gary John Bishop. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, guys meaning like everybody, not like male only. Everybody on the call, this book has some foul language in it. I'm not going to lie. He uses the F word. He uses some other words. I didn't listen to it with my kids around or even my spouse, to be honest. Some of the words in there were strong, But this book is good. This book is worth listening to. And that is why I wanted to recommend it today. In spite of the foul language, in spite of the strong language, some of the strong language that he shares doesn't involve a cuss word at all. Some of the strongest language in this book is helping us get out of our own heads. Let me just say that if you're not reading yet, if you're not convinced of reading the books that we suggest, I think that you're missing the boat. I think you're missing a golden opportunity to expand and grow and develop as a person, as a leader in sales, as a business owner. This book called Unblank Yourself, okay, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life by Gary John Bishop is one of the best books I could ever have been recommended to read and that I recommend to you to read. Super great book. Just know there's some foul language in it. All right. That being said, our next call is April the 16th, 2019. Make sure it's on your calendar. Share it with other meeting leaders. Get it out there. Tell the world. Confirm all of your information is correct on the site, in the app, and on Facebook and everywhere else, and make sure that it's right. That being said, I'm going to unmute the phone lines. I thank each and every single one of you for being on the call today. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. If you got to go ahead and let her fly. But I'm going to go ahead and unmute all the lines so that we can open it up for conversation, suggestion, that sort of thing. And I'm going to go ahead and pause